I'm Sid, I'm the gal behind Lucky Lady Quilt Co, and welcome back to the fourth video in our backyard workshop turned sewing studio renovation. And this week I will be painting and staining the concrete floor in the workshop, but the fun part is that it is a full quilt block design, so I'm making the floor basically a quilt. If you missed the previous videos, we've pretty much just been renovating the backyard workshop, which includes drywalling, painting. We just put in tongue and groove cedar ceiling, which was intense, but happily it's done. And so the floor is actually the last part in the construction process, and then from I guess here on out, after the floor, we can start building the furniture and actually forming the sewing studio. So we're getting there, but yeah, I hope you enjoy watching, and I also hope this inspires someone to spray paint their own quilt blocks on their own floor somewhere. I'm excited to get into it, so here we go. Oh no! There's a hole in my bucket! No! Okay, I have like an old chicken gallon. This will be fine. What a pain. Okay. Oh, it was such a struggle. All right. Hopefully that'll work. So I went to the store and I ended up buying a poster board that I could draw the stencil on, and this is the design that I'm going with for the floor stencils. I'm hoping it's not too small, so I have an extra piece of drywall that I'm going to spray paint. The only funny thing that I realized is that when I cut this design out, this is just gonna fall off, so I'm going to sew it to the rest of the poster so that it has still the inside intact, and then these are the only cutouts. So hopefully it goes well. I think it will. I'm crossing my fingers. So this is the moment that I realized that the stencil I had just made was not going to work. And so in a state of panic, I kind of skipped documenting this, and I ran to the store, picked up a new poster that was just thick paper, and I cut the same design out using the white poster board, and it actually worked so much better than the thicker poster. I should have just done this in the first place, and if anyone is planning to make their own stencils, go for the white poster board. I made two different stencils, and of the two different stencils, this was the first one, which has already severely warped. I initially thought it would be perfect because the thickness would weigh it down, which in hindsight I guess makes no sense. But I thought it was smart to at least like sew the inside to the outer part. But anywho, this ended up being a fail. Also, it was kind of small, so this is what it looked like when I spray painted it. And the edges, since I cut it with the box cutter, the edges were so rough that it definitely translated to the stencil. So I revamped the stencil, which is that poster board, and this poster board, and I made it a bit bigger. So the design, this design was 6 inches, like the center square, and then this one is 8 inches, at least this. I think I like the bigger stencil size better, but this one was great because it was easy to cut. It worked out really well, especially with the original version and then the new version. I'm gonna have to still find like weights to hold the poster paper down, but for the most part, like the edges are super clean, so I can work with it. I might have to go through and like hand fix some, which I'm fully expecting. It'll be a pleasant surprise if I don't have to, but yeah, so this is what we're going for in the workshop. Now I'm gonna go through and make sure that I have it measured out properly, so I'm not like cutting the design in half on any of the sides, so it'll be fine. I like went through Adobe Illustrator and I tried to mock up the floor plan, so it should fit perfectly. And I'm hoping to finish painting by the end of the day, so we'll see how it goes. I'm like so excited for this part to be done with, since I find it to be daunting and it's also permanent, so hopefully I'm making a good decision, but if not, I'm gonna live with it. So you probably knew where this was going, but I realized that as soon as I did this test stencil, I did not like the measurements that I had gone for, and I also did not like the color that I was going with. So having no idea how to remove the paint, I enlisted Kevin to help me figure out how to get rid of the sample stencil that I had put down. I do have like a patience issue and I need to work on that, but happily Kevin was able to help me, and he also had made me this box which helps with the spray paint overflow, since we had noticed that when I sprayed the stencil there was kind of like a draft of extra paint getting on the floor. So this was our solution and it worked out really well. Okay, so after I spray painted the first star into the corner of the room, I just also can't believe I had to sand it off. But anywho, I realized that in addition to the measurement adjustments that I want to make, I want to change the color of the star. So instead of using the wine, which is so funny that I'm switching it up, but it's fine, I am now going for white. So I went to the store and I bought white Rust-Oleum, and I think it'll be better in the long run because it'll brighten up the space. It's like a neutral color, so I can decorate with whatever colors I want, and then I can switch it up and it's not going to clash. And I think the only downside, which is why I initially didn't want to do white, was because it would show dirt more. But you know, it's just gonna be, I'm gonna have to clean more, which is good in the long run, so the space will be cleaner. But yeah, that's honestly the only con that I can think of. So now we're gonna go and spray paint everything white. As much as I was dreading cleaning up the stars after spray painting, I realized that it was absolutely necessary in order for them to look polished and a bit more professional. So I ended up buying 100% acetone, and it wiped away the paint instantly, and I really wish I had used it when I was trying to remove the wine-colored star from earlier. But I went through and cleaned literally every single star, and I don't even want to tell you how many hours I spent cleaning. Since the stars are more of my passion project, I didn't subject Kevin to cleaning, so by the time I finished, I came outside and he was watching Lord of the Rings, and it looked so nice. So I joined him for a while, and it made up for the hours and hours I spent cleaning up every single individual star for only half of the workshop. So I'm gonna have to do it again for the other half. I did, however, ask for Kevin's assistance in changing out all of the outlets. So instead of having miscellaneous colored outlets, I'm going to, or I guess Kevin is going to, replace them all with just white colored outlet covers and outlets. So I really appreciate him for doing that for the entire workshop. Conveniently, this is actually something that Kevin does for work, so I fully trust him to do all things electrical, and it doesn't take too long, but it honestly has saved so much in labor costs. I will have to figure out down the road when I do kind of like a pricing breakdown on this workshop how much we've saved in labor versus how much we spent on equipment. While Kevin was in the workshop, he was also working on installing the ceiling lights, and happily his manager let him borrow this tool, which is called a rotozip, and it was so fun to watch. It pretty much just cuts a hole, like a perfect circle, into the drywall, and also in this case the tongue and groove. And he was able to do this for, I think we put in 10 ceiling lights. It was also such a messy job, so I really appreciate him for doing that as well, because a ton of the ceiling insulation ended up falling like just everywhere on him. So we were able to clean it up, put it back, and then happily, this is Lucas, who was able to help run wires, and I think they were able to crank it out in like 1 to 2 hours. So I owe them a lot. When we were at Home Depot, we ended up getting a pack of 10 light fixtures, and they were canless, so it was fairly easy, at least from what I could tell, for Kevin and Lucas to install them. But yeah, this is what it looks like. How long did this take you?
I don't know, a few hours.
Yeah? A few days and a few hours?
Yeah, a few hours and a few days. A help from a friend. Lucas.
Wow.
We got it done.
And while I am distracted by other things, I figured it was a good time to put on the peel and stick adhesive that I bought for this marble countertop. I just really don't want to see the marble anymore. I have stained it. It is just not in a good way. So I figured instead of completely discarding it and kind of wasting it, I would reuse it and attempt to see how this peel and stick paper works out. I am really trying to do my best to have durable material, but this is the only thing that I am doing that I know is not the best quality. But, you know, maybe down the road I can change it. I'll save a little bit more, and then when I have a bigger budget, I can fully invest in something that I want. And until then, I will be shopping around, waiting for my dream countertop. Kevin and I also made another run to Home Depot where I was able to pick up all of the floor trim and trim for the sliding door and front door. So while I was taking a break from painting, we were able to install the trim on at least like the half of the room that we had finished painting, and that way when we moved all of the existing furniture for like the miter saw station, we wouldn't have to deal with putting in the trim since it would be covered by the cabinets and the miter saw. So now that the concrete seal had dried, we were able to finally move the furniture on that half of, or over to that half of the workshop. So we moved the miter saw station to where we want it, as well as the cabinets. And I initially wanted kind of like a U-shaped countertop space, but we realized it was easier to have kind of the gap between the miter saw and the cabinets. So yeah, this is what it looks like thus far. Okay, so it's pretty late and I finally finished working on the stencil in the second part of the workshop. However, I messed up. Okay, let's see. So all of this section is, well, I don't even know how I did it, but I had gradually went off like the line that I was supposed to be following. And so I'm gonna redo them. So now I'm using 100% acetone to take off the paint, and I'm just gonna redo this whole section, and then hopefully that will be the last time I ever have to spray paint this floor. So yeah, just crazy. It is slightly worrisome. It's so easy to take the paint off, but oh well. I also like to think that the chickens have enjoyed the backyard workshop renovation, since they are pretty much able to hang out in their little chicken pasture the entire time that we're outside. But normally I don't let them roam around unless supervised, because there have been hawks and falcons that are just hunting them down in the neighborhood. But I do have to say the netting has been a complete lifesaver, and I don't know what I would do without it. But yeah, I do tend to give them breakfast every day. They get just a little bit of corn and they love it. I think now that the summer has ended and the garden veggies aren't going to be around, they're just gonna have corn and the occasional mealworm and flaxseed and all that fun stuff. So I honestly think they're eating better than I am. So it is Saturday morning. I just gave the chickens breakfast, and now I'm planning to get the last coat of sealant over the concrete, and then I'll be done with the floor in the workshop, which is so crazy to think about, because that's the last thing that I need to do before, well, I guess the floor and then the ceiling trim. But then I'm done and can work on furniture and all those things. So this is what the floor looks like now, and I'm gonna do the second coat and let it dry today. So here we go. The concrete has finally dried, so it's officially finished, and now I am done with the floor. The only thing construction wise that we have to do is just put on the ceiling trim and the window trim, and I had no idea how expensive trim is, so that kind of is the reason why I'm delaying, is I am spreading out my spending. So I might get to that after the furniture build, we'll see. But yeah, other than that, I am so happy the floor is done. I already have some of the IKEA boxes that were delivered for cabinets, and I'll build those next. And then we are also going to build the banquette bench, and I think I'm actually fully planning on making my own cushions, and I'm gonna have like a quilted design. I think a velvet quilt that I'm gonna make for the cushions, and I'm gonna learn how to upholster them. And yeah, so it'll be a learning curve. I'm also trying to make a tiny like built-in couch as well, fully from scratch, but I think I can do it. That's what YouTube is good for. So yeah, I think if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And subscribe if you want to tag along on the rest of the workshop turned sewing studio build out. And other than that, I have no news. So thank you again, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.